The chaos reign.
Chaos Reign presents Dangers of Divestment, broadcast January the 26th, 2022. Enjoy.
The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at TalkRealSolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of TalkRealSolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not TalkRealSolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
All right. In the world where there's crime, corruption, violence, murder, rape, theft, and all forms of atrocity that plagues the world in which we live in today, what you're witnessing, we are living in a state of chaos, and will take a greater or more extreme chaos to restore the order in which the world we live in today. Welcome again. This is Chaos right here. And today's stream is going to be somewhat uncomfortable, but something I have to really dove into. And the reason why I'm diving into this because I've been watching social media and all forms of interactions throughout the internet, IG, Twitter, etc. And I'm not really very pleased of other content creators covering this in some way. And I say in some way in a good fashion. And before I go in this, I'm just trying to find one little thing. Okay, I found her. Before I go into this, I'm going to do this. And one thing I will say this, people. And you know, like always, I always do the introduction of this stream. Because this is the T.R.S. side of things of the Chaos Reign channel, as y'all know. Let me do this so I could see it for myself, so I can get the name of this. I'm just trying to. Okay. Ah, here it is. Perfect. And I'm gonna. Matter of fact, that's unnecessary. Yeah, that's unnecessary. And her. Okay. But I'll say this: if you are new to the Chaos Reign channel, welcome and thank you. And if you're going to be new in the future, please hit the subscribe button and the top bell notification for uploads or live streams here in the Chaos Reign channel. Also, you can also now follow me on Twitter at Chaos Reign 7, and you can add me on Facebook, Chaos Reign on Facebook. Oh, actually, my fault, Eric Reign on Facebook. Sorry, I'm stumbling myself because I'm getting, ahead of myself. Trying to find an article of this. Alright. Let's say this is the one. Okay. Alright. And let me see if these are the right articles. Ah! It looks like the current did. Okay. So now, let us begin. As you know, I'm going to title this one The Dangers of Divestment. And this is, I would say not a series, but it's a volume 1 of this. If I never cover or talk about divestors on the Chaos Reign channel, I have to go back to my archives. But I think I did cover a few episodes of this thing of divestment, either side from the black male or the black woman, or whatever you want to call it. But nonetheless, there is a danger into this. And I've been watching and really looking hard of the direction people take when they say they're, I guess, divested, if you want to call it that way. And the funny thing about all this is that a lot of people are doing it if you want to keep it real. And I think Mary Brown said it best, which I cannot play. But one thing I will do, since I am talking about it, I will include this in this particular episode of the Chaos Reign channel. And this will be what's this? Hold on. I'm getting some funny feedback. Okay. I was just looking at a message. So, let's look into this. Firstly, we're going to read the article. Then I'll play some clips here and there and give my take on it. But before I do any of that, let me give you a good little recap of a certain history. And this deals pertaining of a section by the book written by William A. Darity and Christine Mullen. And this section deals with From Here to Equality, Reparation for Black Americans in the 21st Century. Now, I'm only going to read a few parts, maybe paragraph, short paragraph, but it's going to tie into the state that you're going to understand when I read about this unfortunate death of this young black woman. And it states here, and this is chapter 3, who reaps the fruits of slavery. New England was not a slave society. On the eve of the Revolution, blacks constitute less than 4% of the population in Massachusetts and CT, Connecticut. Massachusetts and Connecticut. And many of them were free. Now, if you notice, during the 1700s especially, if you were a black person, most likely you were free from the harsh realities of slavery from the South. Not surprising, because those were the few states at the time that if you were able to escape your oppression, you were free to come up into those more smaller states and away from the harsh realities of beatings, whips, and slavery. And those states were especially in Connecticut. And at that time, during the Revolutionary War, that started around the late 1700s. A lot of blacks were free that can make the trip to the north. I want that to keep that in mind. And I'm not going to go in more detail because I just want to read that part so let people know. And if y'all want to know, that's page 51 of chapter 3 of that book. And I advise you to get the book. It's a good book. Anyway, so now let's look into the article. This is what I like to call divestment, the dangers of divestment. So now, this is the Hartford Courant. And this is one of the oldest newspapers, I think, in American history, I believe. I could be wrong. But it's one of the oldest that still stands today. The cause of the release and death of Lauren Smith Fields, the 23-year-old found dead in Bridgeport apartment. Criminal investigations opens. And what's this? I don't know if I am not playing that. That's some commercial. The family of a black woman who was found dead last month in her Bridgeport apartment has accused city police of showing a lack of responsiveness and racial insensitivity in their handling of the investigation. Now, I'm not sure why people want to ask why I'm going through the Hartford Courant, because it happened here in Connecticut. And Hartford Courant is the oldest newspaper still existing in, I think, American history. For those who don't know the history of the Upper East Coast. Let's continue. And the Bridgeport apartment accused the police lack of response. All right. Lauren Smithfields, 23, died after a man she had met recently online called police on December 12th to say he awoke to find Smithfields unresponsive. Smithfield's family said police never notified them of her death, which they learned about more than a day later through a note left on her apartment door by her landlord. Interesting. Before I continue, I want people to understand and hear me well. Do black people today still know that they still live in a racist society? That's my biggest concern going for all this. And I'm not sure since when that because we are integrated in the society, that you as black men, we all know black men are safe in society, but now to find that black men think that whatever they do in this society, they're not safe either. All right. I find that problematic. Very much problematic. And the sad thing about all this, and I mean all this, is I've been hearing a lot of content creators making a lot of money off black people. And I know some top content creators that y'all might know who I'm talking about has to pay a particular celebrity nearly almost $5 million, which I probably will not discuss tonight. But I just give you a glimpse of what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, there's a lot of content creators that's now up here using platforms, indoctrinating some men, young boys, but mostly indoctrinating a lot of young, unprecious mind females to do things and to go about without worrying about any dangers of this so-called Western environment we're in. But you're not really safe. But I have to tell you that you should know that already. But like I said, the people that will get hurt the most in this society are Gen Zs, younger people that just turned 20 or in their mid-20s. Ironically. But nonetheless, let's continue on to the article. And make sure you guys hit the like button. And I will give the call number for those that want to call in a little bit. The Office of the Chief State Medical Examiner on Tuesday said Smithfield's death was caused by acute intoxication due to the combined effects of phenamine, a thing called Prozac, and hydrazine, and alcohol. I think it's profemini. I know that's how I pronounce it. Very big word. And alcohol. The death was ruled accidental. So they say. The Bridgeport Police Department said later Tuesday that it is narcotics and vice divisions have opened a criminal investigation as a result of the medical examiner's reports. The department will be assisting by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, according to their statement. That the department also note that its Detective Bureau investigation will remain open as intelligence transactions to the Narcotics and Vice Division. The Bridgeport Police Department release said the agency's thought and prayers continue to be with the family and friends and Mrs. Lauren Smith Fields. The family said police told them the man who called authorities was not a suspect in her death, but have not told them why. The detectives eventually asked them to stop calling. They said the family attorney, Daryl Crossland, has notified the city of his intent to file a lawsuit accusing police of failing to properly investigate. Now, I did not know people could file lawsuits that if they're not doing their job. That's kind of new to me. All right. I'm just going for some things, guys, because some things I have. Oh, you know what? Matter of fact, I'll give you the call-in number now. Let me just highlight it. The call number for tonight's show is 717-908-1834. The access code is 917-324#. I repeat, 717-908-1834. Access code 917-324#. And today's subject, we're going to deal with the dangers of divestment. I'm not sure who put that in the chat room. That was very weird, but I'm not going to go into that. So, moving on. Hold on. Skimming through this. We good. We all good, man. What's this? Oh. All right. Now the Bridgeport Police released Okay. Moving forward, the police department has been racially insensitive to this family and has threatened or treated this family with no respect and has violated their civil rights. Crossland wrote. The city said in a statement that they have been awaiting the results of toxicology tests to determine the cause of Smithfield's death and that the investigation is continuing. Mayor Joe Guinian, if I said it right, said Monday that sensitivity and respect towards family members are important and the handling of the case has been referenced to the Office of Internal Affairs for an investigation. He said he would work with the police chief to make changes to department's practice for notifying family members of a death. I support and add my voice to the family, community, and elect officers who are calling for the state legislation on this issue, he says. About 100 people held a rally in Bridgeport on Sunday on what would have been Smithfield's 24th birthday, asking the state to take over the police investigation, and the family also is seeking an internal affairs investigation into the handling of the death and are asking state lawmakers to pass legislation requiring that loved one be notified within 24 hours when someone is found dead. Meryl Parazia, a city councilwoman whose district includes Smithfield's home, said she is appealing by the way the woman's family has been treated and apparently defers shown to the 37-year-old white woman, or actually the 37-year-old white man who was with her when she died. Now, I'm going to pause right there. I'm hearing different bounce arounds of this alleged person that might have committed a crime towards the young Fields. That I heard this man could be from either in his late 30s or early 50s, one or the other. And I'm not sure what is the actual age, but once the investigation goes on as forward, and trust me, this will have to go on, and it's not something that's going to be swept under the rug. I don't think so, but the way how it's being handled right now, it looks to me that they're trying to play it off like it's some form of what we call an intentional murder, or I should say that this young lady died of overdose by her own means. Let's keep going. Do you think if a white mother or father had their 23-year-old white daughter died and the last person who saw her was on an older black man that she met on a dating site, do you think that would have been handled in the exact same way? The Democrat said, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. Now, you know it's funny, because we always talk about the race. And I got to be honest, guys. Race does play a factor in a lot of things. And you got to understand, when they view us and them, it's totally different in regards how they see black people in law enforcement, how they see black people in regards to criminality. And they will use anything to sit there and, I like to say, demonize the two, whether you're a black man or black woman. If you're committing crime against them, you're far-fetched it's going to be hard for you to walk away from certain things that if you might attempt some serious crimes towards non-black people. But obviously, when they do crimes on you, is A-OK, it's the green light to go at you, and they potentially might be able to walk off unscathed. Do you see? Well, that's another story. Let's keep going. Pira, already called Pira Syria, or Piras, said she also wanted answers for the family of a 53-year-old Brendan Ross, another black woman who died in Bridgeport at about the same time. Her family also was not notified of the death by police and found out days later. T.R.S. said, "What kind of behavior is this?" She said, "Why are family members having to search for a missing loved one when police know the person is dead? Where is the responsibility to notify family?" State Senate Dennis Bradley, D. Bridgeport, said Tuesday that he plans to introduce a bill in the upcoming legislative session that requires police in Connecticut to notify immediately families hours of a person dying. This bill will honor Lauren Smithfields according to a... Man, stop this. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Do you see how when Black Death happens, they put a very weak bill in regards to say we're doing this for your own good and we're going to be more active to know say as someone dies, you'll be notified within the first day, not the day after, but the first day. Now tell me, is that really change that you want, Black people? Now, mind you, that bill is something that is like an insult to majority Black men and Black women, if you want to keep real. Normally, it's the job of the police department. If someone's dead, you should be in your right power to look and notify who is the family, does they have loved ones, and let them know immediately that so they know that their loved one has been gone. They should not be knowing a week, a month, or whatever that something happened to one of their loved ones. And it has to go unnoticed. To let you know that this bill is not going to change the status of Black people in America. I'm just going to say it personally, guys. I guarantee you it was the other side, they will let them know immediately. But they had to put bills in place just for you to get some form of human rights. And you must understand, and I want Black women to hear me good and listen good. Bills are only effective if someone could enforce it. If the majority population is non-Black and you are just a minority, which you're only like 14%, you're not even nearly a quarter of the population in America, do you think anybody put aside is going to be in your best interest that they're not going to enforce? Because that takes man, command, wrote, and create and construct the bill. And it's going to take man to enforce the bill. Amos Wilson has said this in many of his lectures and many of his books. Bills are useless if no one is going to hold them by it and enforce it. So I find that they're going to create a so-called bill, which really is really the intention anyway, if you want to go there, to say that we're going to put a bill that's going to require police in Connecticut alone to notify immediately families within 24 hours of a person dying in honor of Miss Fields. Now, I'm not sure if any other states operate like this in regards to someone has been dead, either foul play or whatever, that the loved ones will know either right away or they'll know in a week or two, depending if they do the autopsies and then to find the backing and records who this person is. But nonetheless, a bill like that that's going to be introduced in Connecticut is kind of an insult, in my opinion. But that's just me. But like I said, y'all guys got your own brains. Y'all can figure that shit out. Let's continue. Make sure you hit the like button. Okay. Not only did a family have to endure a tragedy of losing their daughters, but they have come to learn they weren't informed of her death properly. Bradley said also in the statement, "I am dedicated implementing a proper solution as justice for Lauren Smith Fields. No family should have to suffer improperly ways of notification of such a devastation movement. The proposal bill will require police to notify immediately families within 24 hours of a person dying or to make a clear, present, and document attempt to make such a contact and immediate family included the deceased spouse, parent, or guardian, sibling, and auntie or uncle in the respective order according to the statement. So it's going to be passed over to anybody that's related to her or any person related to the loved one. All right. Bridgeport police said they're encouraging anyone with information on the narcotic investigation to contact narcotics and Vice Lieutenant Charles Johnson. And this is the number you must call him. Bridgeport Police, tips, lanes, and I'm not giving that number because y'all can find that for yourself. And that's just only one article. So I'm not going to go into any other articles because let's be real. Let's keep real. Something that happens in this state, it would make better sense to read the articles from them. So that's the article from the Hartford Current, and I might put this in the description of this video. Okay, so let me think what I'm gonna do next. Now, I'm gonna find some audios to run, and if y'all guys have questions now, press now before I run these audios. And before I run the audios, actually, let me run it now, because there's so much things to do right now, and I want to get through as much as possible. So, here's one from forgot what station. I don't know if it's NBC, CBS, or whatever they call it. Listen in, listen carefully.
The Connecticut family is planning to sue the Bridgeport Police Department, saying that it failed to properly investigate the mysterious death of a young black woman. 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields was her name. She was found dead in her home while reportedly on a date back in December. The white man, whom she met on the dating app Bumble, reported her dead during their date. Now, he is not facing any charges, so CBS News is not releasing his name. Yesterday, though,
Now, before I continue, it makes me wonder, why is these white outlets, CBS, NBC, and all stuff, hiding names of the alleged or the one that might have been involved into this so-called investigation? Because God knows they'll reveal the name of black people. They'll reveal the so-called person that might be in question of attempted murder, like a black man. But it sure won't do it for the non-black man, the Caucasian man. Now, I know this is cliche why I would say this and say why you think they should, and we had to question it, because let's be honest. We do live in a so-called integrated society. We are all one now. I've been hearing this from younger people now. I'm not hearing this from older people, because older people know what it is in a so-called racist society. They see every day, maybe in certain parts of life, maybe work or wherever, and nothing's changed. And you don't expect nothing to change. So for them to reveal the identity of this particular gentleman, or this whoever he is, murderer, whatever you want to call him, and we can't say it because we're not sure, but if things are on its way to becoming, or things are going to soon be investigated, which is going to happen anyway, because now we got BLM, we got certain so-called civil rights activists and all this nonsense. They're going to try to fight hard as hell to try to get some form of justice, which I don't know how they're going to do this, because let's be honest. This woman died on December 12th. They're now, the parents have to buy and pay for a private autopsy to know what really happened to her body. And that's now, I'm just hearing this now for the last few days, or a week now. And we've been past a month. Now, I'm not sure anything that's going to be still residue in that corpse after 3 days. Even worse, even if it goes beyond a few weeks. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I just don't know. But anyway, let's keep listening.
Ben Smithfield's 24th birthday. Family, friends, and supporters marched in Bridgeport to celebrate her life and demand answers and justice. Smithfield's family called detectives' handling of the case racially insensitive, and alleged that the college student's civil rights were violated. Elise Preston spoke with the family, which is calling for an outside agency to now handle this investigation. Elise, good morning. This is a very troubling story.
Very heartbreaking, Gail. Good morning. Lauren Smith-Fields should be celebrating her 24th birthday this week. Instead, her family is fighting for answers as to how this seemingly healthy young woman reportedly died in her bed.
Family photos and memories are what Lauren Smith-Fields' family is holding on to as they wrestle with her unexpected death.
The pain is so unbearable.
Chantel Field says she drove to her daughter's apartment last month after not hearing from her.
When I got there was a note on the door saying, if you're looking for Lauren, call this number.
The family says a detective told them Smith-Fields had been declared dead about a day and a half earlier, and no one reached out to tell them.
He said that she met some guy on Bumble that night. And I'm like, who's this guy? What's going on? He's like, oh, he sounds like a nice guy. Don't worry about it.
According to an incident report, the date told police the two allegedly spent the night drinking, eating, and watching a movie. At one point, he said Smith-Fields went outside to meet someone. Later, she fell ill, but the two continued drinking. Smith-Fields fell asleep, and the date carried her to bed, where he went to sleep next to her.
One other thing I do want to say. This Bumble app, like most of these so-called weak dating site apps, I find it ironic, and I'm not sure if it's Bumble or it could be Tinder, one or the other, and I gotta go back to my archives to find which one of them are. As a matter of fact, when I'm talking to you, let me find it now to make sure this is not the same app. I could be wrong. Because I like to look at certain applications. Let me find this. Bumble. Because one thing is for sure, I could be wrong, but something about Bumble or is it Tinder that doesn't sound right. Where is it? Oh, it is. Ain't this a bitch? What the fuck? I found one of my old videos about Bumble. And isn't it ironic, people? Yeah, I found it. Isn't it ironic that Bumble, fucking Bumble, isn't it that same app that made an impression where a woman that could be any size have the clear advantage of the pool of men that they want to date and potentially seek as mates, but make it a disadvantage for the man to have a certain selection? What I mean by this, if I can recall, Bumble had an incident, and let me click on to detail. They had an incident about banning people that was fat shaming people on Bumble. The same dirty fucking app was telling all men and warning men, if you fat shame a woman on Bumble, they will delete your account. You can ask a woman, if it was a woman that's big or fat, what she look like, how her height or weight or dress size. You can ask these questions to women on this app. They will delete you. But here to find out that this is the same app Miss Fields is on, searching for non-black men. Ain't that something, people? Ain't that something? I digress. I just want y'all to hear that because I covered Bumble last year. Yeah, I covered this. Oh, actually, my fault. I covered this almost a whole year ago. And to find out Bumble now is back and somebody's talking about Bumble through this mysterious death is questionable. I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to tell you this once. Stay away from Bumble. If you're a man or woman of any significance, do not use that app. This right here sealed the deal for Bumble as a dating app resource. And I'm hoping, and I say I'm hoping, that certain investigators will draw up this information about the relationship between Miss Fields and this Caucasian man. I think his name is I don't know his name. And I'm not thinking about it. But actually, what's his name? Let me see what his name is. Let me find the name of this dude. Okay. I think the guy's name is Michael or something. I don't know his name. The hell with it. This man has said that he's supposed to be in his late 30s. But I hope they find information and pull up the records between these two and what their conversation is. I'm hoping. But anyway, let's keep going. And please, if y'all want to call into tonight's show, the call number is the call number is 717-908-1834, access code 917-324#. Today's stream, The Danger of Divestment. Okay, so now let's continue on with this.
Later, around 6:30 in the morning, he says he woke up to Smithfield's not breathing, her nose bleeding. He called 911. The family says a detective also told them to stop calling him for information. They were told he has since been removed from the case.
Where all do you think the police department misstepped in handling Lauren's death?
When you find a young lady dead and there's a male involved, is immediately a person of interest, and they should immediately collect that person's DNA.
The incident report shows police collected money in Smithfield's passport, credit card, and phone, but the family's attorney, Darnell Crossland, stresses possible key evidence like bloodied sheets and drinks was not processed at the scene until 2.5 weeks later.
At the scene, we find a pill, we find a condom with semen in it.
In a statement to CBS News, Bridgeport Police Acting Chief Rebecca Garcia says there are elements of misinformation being reposted, adding they will release a final comprehensive report at the end of their investigation.
People know that black women, black girls have been going missing and haven't gotten any attention, and I think is at a boiling point. We're just asking for process. That's it. Treat these cases like you would treat any others.
To lose Lauren in this way, how does that make you feel?
A part of my soul died. I would never be the same again. I don't even know how to even move from the next day to the next minute. I'm literally dead inside.
Now, the medical examiner's office tells CBS News an autopsy report should be complete in about a week. The family has paid out of pocket for an independent autopsy as well.
Lisa, I see why the family has so many questions. You know, black or white, a man is found with your daughter and just says, she just fell asleep and I woke up and she was dead, and the police say, oh, he's a nice guy. Oh, that makes no sense to me.
It's so heartbreaking. And for them to not know, the mom said that she hadn't heard from her daughter. She goes to the door and there's a note. If you're looking for Lauren, call this number.
And the number was to the police department.
Yeah.
There was no effort to find the family or track down the family?
According to the family, that they did not hear from the police. They also said that they waited outside the house for 5 hours for police to arrive, and they never showed up.
Enough of that. So, like I said, and the interesting thing about all this, there was a condom used with the man's fluids in it. So it seemed to me this is more than just a nice little kicking party. They were Netflix and chilling, if you know what I mean. She was busting it wide open for this man. Or, possibly, she was intoxicated and, he was able to get into the draws. And I find it ironic, to be honest with you, that depending on the age of the non-black man, like this man that they say on this audio, that he's not going to get access to pussy like that unless he's drunk or intoxicating women. And by his age and Miss Fields, and I look at her and I look at him, because there's pictures of this man. And trust, nothing's going to happen to this man. And I don't expect nothing to happen to this man. No black man, if any significance, is going to go out there and take any frustration on this man. They're not. I don't expect them to do it either. But, like I said, she did had her a night that she will never forget, and obviously it was the last night she was ever going to see. And the sad thing about all this that, in my opinion, because they did not do the autopsy till now, and they're still probably undergoing the autopsy of this, that it's hard for me to find that this sick bastard possibly might have did some things. He might have sodomized her. Who don't know? We don't know because they haven't really showed the results of the body, and it's going to be very tricky to find anything of any penetration in certain ways that they could probably link that, something of nature might have been traumatized. But like I said, if she was feeling ill with all the deadly chemicals and the drugs like amphetamines and all those things that Europeans normally do, like the cocaine, those special type of things, those pills, they will do damage on you as a person, especially a woman. So it's hard for me to believe that this young black woman is doing hard drugs like that, in my opinion. But like I said, I don't know the woman. But, up here in the East Coast, especially in this parts, because this happened in Connecticut, it's very questionable. But anyway, let me see if anybody raised their hand. If not, I'm going to continue on with the broadcast. Let me see. All right. Everybody's listening. They're not really raising their hand yet. Okay, so I'm gonna play one more broadcast and maybe give my little side of things. And if anybody doesn't really have any questions, I might call this a day. But we'll see. Let's see if this is the one. This might be the one. Now, this is from this guy, from Mr. Martin. Let's see what he has to say.
Folks, the autopsy report has been released describing what killed a 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields. She is the Bridgeport, Connecticut woman, of course, who was found dead more than a month ago in her apartment. Now, the Connecticut medical examiner says Lauren died from acute intoxication due to the combined effects of fentanyl, promethazine, hydroxyzine, as well as alcohol, ruling her death an accident. Okay, so it raises the questions. Where did those drugs come from? How did those drugs get into her system? And the man who was with her, did he bring them? What was his involvement? Darnell Crossland is a family attorney. He joins us now from Bridgeport. Darnell, glad to have you back. So they lay out the autopsy report. Okay, got it, but more questions than answers.
That's exactly the way we are feeling right now, Roland. So it's been a roller coaster since yesterday. This family has been calling on a proper investigation from the moment their daughter died, right? We didn't get that. The man that was last with her before she died wasn't questioned. He was just let go. Now, the ME released a report yesterday that says all these foreign substances were in her body when she doesn't use drugs. She's 23 and super healthy. And we're looking now at the ME's report saying, okay, the question isn't what was in her body. How did it get there? That's the question.
One thing, if everyone, young people that do drugs today, if you want to go there, the most normal drug that most young people that's over the age of 18 is usually maybe some alcohol and weed. And we all know most black people, unfortunately, do smoke weed. So that's the only form of high most black people indulge in. But all this other hard drug stuff like amphetamines and all that stuff, that's mostly white people stuff, And those things are very toxic and dangerous, But the fun when you hear a black person got that in their system, it's deadly. Very deadly.
And when you have fentanyl, for one, and then the other items that were found in her body are commonly associated with date rape drugs, the question still is, if they didn't question this man, if they didn't do any trace evidence from this man's fingers, body, clothes, then we're almost further away from where we should be than we were before she died. And so we're asking this police department to step aside to allow the team to come in that's going to do the job. And God is good. We had Enema Sunshine today because there was an announcement made that this is now shifted into a criminal investigation. But as you said on your show last week, it's one thing to call it a criminal investigation, but it's another thing to be able to prove up the crimes when they've messed up the scene so badly. So the question is, how are we successful in this criminal investigation when they botched up the investigation from day one?
Okay, so you said some of the drugs found are associated with date rape drugs. Explain that.
Yeah, so all the experts that I've been speaking to for the last day or so, 24 hours, have made it clear that some of the stuff like promethazine are often found in drugs that people drop in your drink, these drugs that you see at clubs and so forth and so on.
So he's saying these are drugs that a lot of dudes, and this is like normal stuff you see people in bars or parties, maybe colleges, they'll do that just to, I guess, create a certain stimuli, arousal for the ladies so that way they get more turn on and really ready to pull down them drawers and get on these and, give a man a quick blow or, yeah. It reminds me of what they used to have, if they still sell it, called Spanish fly. Yeah, Spanish fly. But that type of drugs that if he is putting it in her drink, or which looks like that's what it was, it makes sense. Anyway, let's keep going.
When the scene at the time of her death consists of a condom with semen in it, a pill that's laying on the kitchen counter, lube, and then blood on her bed sheets, and they don't look at this man as a person of interest, that gives this man an opportunity to cover his tracks and keep moving. Now, I have to point out, this is very important. The medical examiner concluded that this was an accident. And that, to me, in my experience, is another systemic way that black people are disenfranchised and treated differently. And that's why we can't get the results that we want in terms of justice. I've had this.
I'll let you know, the man that's talking, he is, I think, an attorney or something. I think he's a Muslim because he has a bow tie, most like, and usually people that are Muslims wear bow ties, last time I checked. But I digress.
Same exact case as this some years ago. The doctor involved was a doctor named Dr. Rubin. He's a plastic surgeon out of Greenwich. He's flying in from Nantucket on his private jet. He calls my client, who's a minority, and says, hey, let's party. He has cocaine. My client has heroin. They both party. The doctor ends up dying, foaming at the mouth. What happens then here in Connecticut is that they arrest my client and charge him with manslaughter. They also charge him with 21A statute, which is a drug statute. That statute says when you transfer drugs to another person, even if it's not for profit, that's a sale under the law. So they charge my client with a 15-year felony for a sale charge because he gave the drugs to Dr. Rubin. And they charge him with manslaughter because he died. In the case with Lawrence Smith Fields, if this gentleman brought those drugs to the scene, then that's a transfer and that's a sale. If she died as a result of that, that's manslaughter. But here's the thing. The medical examiner in the case where the white guy dies and there's a minority that's with him, they put in the medical examiner's report death by toxicity, which meant, when I called up there, it meant just the mixing of the two drugs. In Lauren's case, instead of putting death by toxicity, they want to give this guy yet another damn way out, and they put death by accident. And I'm totally...
And there's a reason why they did this, because, let's be honest, if people not understanding or don't know this, they protect their own. Now, if y'all recall, when they killed Ahmaud Arbery, I think it was a year ago or two. This young man was chased down and killed by Southern Caucasoids, 3 of them. They chased him down and blew him away with a shotgun. And no one knew that he was dead until almost 2.5 months later. And somebody had to leak the audio or the video, wherever they call it, to the public that this happened. That's the reason why it draw attention throughout the media. Now, in the case of Miss Lauren Fields, this is something that, if you think about it, this was brought out in the open because, let's be honest, the news gets flown out here quick. And to find that a white man was in the scene of a criminal crime, and the I guess Bridgeport police just looked at him and then let him walk by because he seemed like a friendly, nice guy, it tells something that most European men do look and stick after their own. And it goes back to show that a lot of fucking dumb black people, even fucking niggas, don't understand that they watch and protect their own. You think you have a spot and place in the seat with them, you're delusional. You're dreaming. Especially if you're a fucking black fucking bitch. Don't know that. There's no way in hell, no man that's right in the seat of crime, the cop just sit there, look at him, head to toe, and say he looks like a friendly guy, let him go. And after this, I'm going to ask certain questions that I want people to start to think about. But let's continue playing.
Upset with that, and excuse me if I'm passionate about it, but enough is enough already. These little systemic ways where they treat us differently and they give themselves a pass has to stop. So we're happy that they're now making this a criminal investigation, but there's so much more work to be done. And we have way more questions today than we had yesterday.
You made the point about a pill being found on the table and then a used condom with semen in it. Those 2 items were not, just want to make sure, they were not found, nor were they recovered by the police. That was when the family was allowed into the apartment, correct?
That's correct.
So that particular pill, have y'all had that pill tested?
That's the question that a conversation I had with the mayor. So the mayor called my cell phone yesterday. He's always had my number. The mayor called my cell phone yesterday. I was in court, and I got out of court. I reviewed a couple of things that was before me in terms of the ME's finding. Today, the mayor's office and myself, we had a long conversation on the phone, and I told him the police department collected a sheet with blood in it. They collected a pill, a condom with semen in it, and lube. And they collected it 2 weeks after she died only because we gave it to them. We said, hey, come and take this stuff.
So the police actually did not collect it when they discovered her body. So those items were in that apartment for 2 weeks. You and the family go into the apartment, y'all collect that, and you then turn that over to the police.
Before I continue, my biggest issue of not only reading this but hearing this is why is regular civilians are tampering with evidence. Isn't that the job for police for any crime scene, regardless if it's a criminal or not, to be collecting all evidence? Have y'all noticed that? Have y'all noticed that? If the civilian were the ones that had to collect the little small evidence from what is considered alleged a crime scene, it tells you the justice system, or what they want to call just us, that it is not designed for you. You're not getting no justice in this Western hemisphere, this Western world we call America, if you're black. Regardless, some people say, well, it's not true that there is some justice. Some people got just no. We're talking about as a whole right now, and I'm talking personally. This was not sloppy. This was intentional. Because it goes back what I said, they protect their own. And it shows not only they have no respect for the family, but they don't have respect for you, black man, and you, especially you, black fucking woman. That your life means nothing. It's minutiae. it could be taken on a given notice, and the people that take it will walk scot-free. And that's just the reality. So let's continue.
What we did, we took pictures of it. We didn't touch anything. We preserved it. We called them in and told them, look what's here. And then they collected it themselves and had the nerves then to say to the family, anything else we should take? And when that happened.
Now, mind you, just like they said, they did not touch it, but let's say if they didn't or did. Still, it's still the responsibility of the authorities to look and investigate everything to use as evidence. And to see that they had to look them in, I say, anything else we should collect, that tells you they're collecting it just to hide it or put it or lock it up for how long it takes. So that way, anything that's happening, if there is some foul play, it's going to be pretty much hard to find through proper examination. Now, I'm not sure how effective forensic science is in regards to a deceased body, but they better hope that let's just say this, they better hope that with their foul play that there's nothing that comes back to them to let them know so there was no foul play. But like I said, we shall see. Let's continue.
I'm so enraged because they're the professionals. They should have, from the day one, quarantined the area, and they should know what they're looking for. Now that we find out that fentanyl was in her body, we know that a couple weeks ago at a white school, some kids died of fentanyl. And when the authorities arrived, they treated the entire school as a hazmat area. They told the teachers, lock in your room and don't come out, even though the fentanyl was in some isolated area. The reason why is because fentanyl was so dangerous and it can get in the air. You think the police would have came to Lawrence Smith Fields' home when she was reported dead, checked her eyes, her pupils, and tried to determine whether, in fact, it was a drug overdose at that point? Typically, the responding teams come out with Narcan because if somebody's overdosing, they can render assistance. It's important for you to remember this also, Roland. Now that we find out that these drugs were involved, highly potent, dangerous drugs, look at the incident report. This gentleman, Matthew LaFontaine, reports that Lauren looked sick and got sick, but he kept drinking with her. Then he says he lifted her up and carried her to her room. Now, Lauren is not that type that needs to be carried. She doesn't use drugs like that. So whatever went on that night, around 12 o'clock or so, he had to carry her to her room, put her in the bed. And then he claims around 3 o'clock she looked like she was sleeping. And at some point during that time, she started bleeding from her nose. My suspicion is that she was under distress from the time he had to carry her to her room. So in Connecticut, if you cause somebody to be in peril, you have a duty to render assistance. I think that she was dying from the time he carried her in her room, and she started bleeding out. Her blood vessels were bursting. This woman exploded. And based on the expert that I've been speaking to for the last 2 days, they explain how fentanyl causes this explosion inside you. So he probably carried her into that room while she was dying, left her there. And remember when he called the 911, it was 6:30 in the morning. So she probably was in distress from 12 o'clock at night, and he's sitting there figuring out what to do while she's dying.
Wow.
And that's my suspicion. If he's innocent, he's innocent. But that's what we suspect.
Darnell Crossland, again.
Wow. Exploding. I didn't know that fentanyl had that powerful effect on the human body. I don't know if I should Google it. I don't know. Y'all want me to Google it? Nah, I ain't gonna ask people in the chat room. I ain't gonna. I'm not really fond of looking at drugs and what they do to the body because I don't mess with this stuff. So, me know more about the science of the whatever it's annoying. Let me read the chat room before I continue playing on. Let's see right here. It said, I saw that. Wow, rest in peace. Okay. That's the thing that they don't do at complete investigation. They dismissed it and said the Matthew LaFontaine looked like he was a nice guy. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep playing. It's almost done, guys.
And so many more questions than answers. And again, the problem that we have here, because y'all discovered it, took pictures, and then they came 2 weeks later. Literally, if this even went to trial, the defense attorney could claim that anybody could have walked into that apartment in that 2-week time period, and typically that evidence likely gets dismissed and not allowed into the case.
That's actually true. And if your show permits, we found a white lady called us up who grew up with the family. She stated today that she felt so bad because she knew that Lauren didn't have a chance because this guy was the one that was with her. She stated that he's very close with the higher-ups at the police department. She knows all of them. She knows him and she knows his family. And I said, hey, you know what? You got to go to Roland Martin. And she said she's open to coming on the show. And so.
Did y'all hear that? So this man that might have committed a crime is close and has a relationship or has relatives or whatever with the police department of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Does this sound like an Amber Geiger type thing, people? Or something else? I could be wrong. I don't know. Oh well, let's keep going.
Well, she's a white woman that grew up in that same neighborhood that knows how this whole thing works, and she gave us names, rank numbers, serial numbers, and said that they're basically brothers and they grew up together. And so, again, we're going to be asking for a phone dump from Detective Cronin, who was involved at this scene, to see if there was any calls between him and this gentleman, and also the higher-ups. We got their names, too, from this woman, and she's on our witness list as we do our own investigation, but she said she'd be willing to talk to you. And so this story is just breaking and is getting more and more and more important that we follow it now than ever.
All right, then. Attorney Donnell Crossan, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Thank you for being the voice of...
All right. Looks like that's it. That's it. Let me stop it. Go back to my conference here. The call number for tonight's show is 717-908-1834, access code 917324#. Today's stream, the dangers of divestment. Yeah, folks, there you have it. I think I lay out not only the article, but a few clips here and there about this investigation, which is now on its way. I don't see this investigation concluding in 2022. I expect it to be somewhat maybe wrapped up in 2023. Maybe. I'm just guessing. Now, there are some tweets Miss Fields has posted on her Twitter. And let me see if I can pull up her name. Yeah. Oh, interesting. That's some weird stuff. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find how can I say it? I'm trying to see if I can find her Twitter, because she does have Twitter. She did put some very odd colorist statements on here. And I find it ironic, and there is a double standard here in regards to men and women, that, to be fair and honest, people, that when it comes to colorism from black men and black women, we have a certain energy in regards to how we view each other. I remember when I forgot the guy's name that got killed in California because he had an Asian baby mom with 2 kids, and if I can remember, he posted some color statements talking about dark women bring dark days and all this nonsense. Well, I find that Miss Fields has some thoughts about the males in this community, the black males, about colorism as well. And to be honest, some people are using that as somewhat of an excuse and justifying her death. And you know me personally that we should not be using what people have put out tweets as justification that they deserve it, allegedly. But I find it in this weird community we're in that there is a double standard when it comes to men and women. And I think that needs to stop, in my opinion. All right. Hold on. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find something, guys. No, I'm not about to put it. Let me do this. I'm just gonna go and find her name and see if I can find her name on Twitter. Where's her name? Okay. I'm going to find her on Twitter right now, see if I can find those statements. Oh, they got some interesting, they created some accounts about Justice for Lawrence Smith Fields. This is very interesting. So a lot of people create Twitter accounts for her in honor, maybe to put out here to make money, which most people do anyway, or spread awareness. Nonetheless, I mean, this is her Twitter. I'm trying to find if she has Twitter. I'm trying to find one. Yeah. Trying to find her Twitter. And the funny thing, finding people on Twitter is a little challenging people because sometimes their Twitter might be still active, but they use a special name. And you got to see people crossing and treading, marching. Marching isn't really much enough nowadays, but that's my opinion. I'm trying to find it. What the hell is this? I don't know why I'm seeing they putting this man Matthew LaFontane's email and phone number. That don't make no damn sense. That don't make no sense. I don't know why they do it. Not like they're gonna do anything to him anyway. So that's just nonsense in my opinion. But let me check the lines, guys, because I don't think I got anything else. I got one person calling. I'm gonna open the line now. So now I'm opening the lines to those that want to have the discussion. First caller, open the line. Who's this?
What's going on, Gary?
Oh, what's good, JNYC?
All right. Thank you for keeping the lights on tonight, even though you like a few days after. But you know, I'm pretty sure people are appreciative of having you do a show tonight. So thanks off top. So the first story, I think, or the second was with the missing young lady, right? Yeah, man. I think that was a lot of negligence as far as on the authorities. There's I think that there's a bigger problem. If you want to talk about it, that they've been talking about for a while. When this couple, if you think about it, right? I remember when that white girl a couple of months ago was the focus of everything. I forgot what her name, Gabby or something like that. And I mean, they flooded the airways with her. Now, I don't know the technical shit behind it, if it was the actual parents that kept pushing the news on top of it, but I highly doubt that the parents solely was contacting every media company in the United States to keep pushing that. Now, again, I don't know, but I seriously doubt that they called every station in America and was able to get all that. So I think that news media had a lot to do with that. And again, so it has to do with, picking and choosing what they want to have as a story, and I think that they overdose on that story. Again, for any female missing, they should definitely emphasize that. All I'm saying is that they should put that energy in all women, all girls, all females, all right? I don't care what the nationality is. Now, this is the way I do have a problem, when you focus on one versus the other. You know what I'm saying? So now they, and then, so what happened after that was that there was people that were speaking, and they said, listen, you see, this is a perfect example. And then they showed a list of all these young black girls that are missing throughout America. They've been missing for years. They gave one story on them, and that was it. Or, recent. They said, well, you know what, last week such and such was missing. And so the story was overwhelmingly on this one girl. And again, all girls should be treated equal, if you want to say that, and humans and all that shit. But this country, over and over, I don't know if they were doing the same thing other places, but here the media, was focused on one thing and not the other. I don't know what it is going to take. Maybe, like more pressure on the media, most likely dollars, advertisement, but these mothers is out there. These fathers is out there trying to get the message out, and they don't have the power of the media. They could go to the media and say, listen, I want you to put this story, and the media has the power to be able to put that story, and it makes the decision. So, I don't know who's making the decisions in that part when you have parents of young black children that are missing, or any of color or whatever in the urban community, and yet there's no real focus on that. And not to say that, again, that the parents didn't go to the local media, they didn't go to CNN, they didn't go to Fox and try to get their message out. It's the media that is able to make that decision and keep that going on there. The missing. I mean, are we serious? Are we serious about this, or we don't care? And I'm just saying, not, you could say us as a society, but the people in powers and positions of power, which it always goes back to the conversation prior to your show. It's all about capitalism. It depends who it is, who it affects, and then they jump on it. If it affects your backyard and you're somebody of importance, or think that you're important, or have a position in this world in some type of way, then, as long as it doesn't happen to you, then you won't emphasize it. So I think that the attitude needs to change, because it's unfortunate sometimes it takes somebody having a tragic, occurrence or some, some type of loss or something, where they now start saying, oh, well, I know how these people feel now, and then, now you want to emphasize. And I think that it should be a responsibility of all media. You only have two genders, right? Man and a woman. And we know how a lot of pressure, is put upon the woman, and again, women of color, most importantly, get a lot of flack and shit. Again, the ones that's out there pushing, these making sure that they get the message out, but yet the media doesn't, highlight these stories. That's all. I'll leave it there. And then going back, I thought you were going to go and talk about the story about the girl that's getting sued, that lost the lawsuit.
I don't know if I'm.
That's right now. I'm gonna leave
sure
that alone, huh? Yeah. Well, I just say this something. Look, everybody knows that just happened. That's all over the news. I'm gonna just say like this: for all y'all people that's doing this YouTube shit and building up a name for yourself, be very careful. Because one thing is this, is that YouTube and all these social media companies are going to they have a clause where they make sure that they are not liable for anything. So when they start going after all these people, they're not going to go after YouTube because they can anyway. They already exempt from that. You, the content creator.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Did you read the terms of service? Is in their term of service?
Facebook is not going to get held liable if you putting up shit unless they knowingly and willingly participating. You see, there's a clause in this with the social media. That's why you don't see them getting shut down. You understand? There was only certain people that was when they passed a certain line. You know, there was a guy that was selling all type of things on his website, and then it took the FBI a while to get to this guy because there was clauses and things like that, but he got held accountable. Now, as far as this stuff that's going on, you've seen there's been people that have been murdered live on the internet through Facebook and all that, and guess what? Facebook is still doing their lives. People still getting killed. You just heard about a story of a woman that met a man on the internet and ended up getting murdered, right? And then the website is not going to be held liable. I guarantee you that. So I'm just saying, be careful as a content. This is not whether you know, I agree with you or disagree with you on what your stance is. I'm not talking about you, Gary, just in general. Those people that consider themselves, because I don't think you go in like some of these people that's really, they're dedicating their life to this, right? They're putting a lot of time. They're making money off of this. I'm saying that be very careful because the things, you will be held liable. Because, again, Facebook and all those companies are not held liable, and you can read the disclaimer for that. I'll leave it there, bro. Good show, and keep doing your thing, bro.
All right. Thank you, JYC. Thank you for informing me of that, because to be honest with you, that there were certain clauses in the terms of service for a lot of these social media sites and YouTube as a website. And I'll be clear and honest with you, I have not really read all their terms because, let's be honest, anything that's greater than maybe 10 pages, and we could say it goes 20 pages depending on lengthy. A lot of people are not going to sit back and read the whole thing. Nor are we kind of lazy and complacent to read everything, and we should more depending on how lengthy it is, but they put a lot of coded language in their term of service that they update every quarter or so because they know majority average consumers are not going to read the term of service. Most of us, we click accept, or we just say okay, and then once something happens, we say what happened. And really they put that special clause in the terms and service, but it takes a sense of patience and a will of understanding to retain and read everything that was put on there so you don't get screwed. And I'll be honest with you, most of these terms and service that YouTube or any social media puts out is not transparent enough of what they'll do and they won't do to you using their platform. Let's keep it 100. So like I said, just be more mindful in regards if you're putting content like that you will be sued. And I will say this, because it's off subject. If y'all remember the COPA thing that was introduced 2.5 years ago, back in 2020, I think, if I remember. That is something that all commercial outlets that television are held liable back in the 90s of protected children in regards to pornography and anything content that might be offensive to children. They always had this for the past 30-something years. It is now that because things are transitioned from basic cable or television to now digital form of internet, that now you are liable. You know what I'm saying? In a way, if someone wants to express it. That's what I was want to let y'all know. So, like I said, the internet is the new form of television, whether you like it or not. So you are going to be held liable for everything you do, especially attacking certain celebrities, not regular people, celebrities, and you do it in a way where you're making not only thousands but potentially millions of dollars. And like I said, we're not going to name what we're talking about. I'll probably say that for maybe a future broadcast. But like I said, just be careful what you're doing. So now in concluding this, because no one else has any hands raised up and look like everybody doesn't want to hear this. Like I said, I cover this because, to be honest with you, majority of people don't live in certain parts of the East Coast. A lot of people don't live in Massachusetts, and they sure as hell don't live in Connecticut. They only go by what they hear or what they see. And I, today, Chaos Rain, had to sit there, cover this from not only my topic, but from just the average person that, is an observer. Now, I might keep in touch with this, but I think talk about it now is to let y'all get a snippet now while it's still hot, this topic right now, which this should not be hot. This is something like just general news that people should talk about for the love of content. But I'm probably going to sit back and see of the afterfall of all this to really do a real recap of this. You know me, I don't like talking things until everything is settled and everything's laid out and everything's resolved. But today I kind of broke the rules just for this particular topic at hand because this has to be looked at and examined. Because, and I'm going to say this to all you divestors, women, you are at fault for what's happened to these young women. Yes, you fuckers are at fault for this. Your little bullshit content you put out here talking about exploring, looking for the so-called Caucasian man or the non-black man to think you're going to have some salvation or you're going to escape oppression, violence, etc. You are delusional as fuck. Yes, Chaos said person. You are delusional as fuck. As long as we still live in this Western world, this Eurocentric culture we're in, you're always going to see violence. Violence is the norm of Western, i.e. Eurocentric culture. You're not going to escape it in this lifetime and the next. And one thing I did not do, since they talk about Connecticut, and this is something important, I'm not going to look at black demographics. I'm going to say the population of blacks in Connecticut. Let's look at this. Right now, the percentage of black people in Connecticut, since this woman was born and raised in Connecticut, and I'm not sure her parents are ADOS or Caribbean, I'm not sure. It says here, the percent of black or African Americans alone in the state of Connecticut is 12%. 12%. And let me see if there's more. Let's go down more. And the population of Connecticut alone since July of last year is roughly 3,605,000 people. And as I'm looking now, let me see if it goes any more data. It does not. And it says here from the female percentage, there's a lot of females here. The white alone percentage is roughly 79.7%, which makes sense because we're at 12%, so roughly 100%. So like whites and other are 79% population in Connecticut. So the population of black people in Connecticut of the census or this percentage is roughly almost the average of black people as a whole in America. We're like almost 14%, or we're actually now 14% population. Connecticut of blacks, and when they say blacks, they say a mix between African Americans and other blacks, Africans, Caribbeans, etc., which are included as the blacks. They're roughly 12% of the population. Keep that in mind. And more than half of that female person percentage is roughly 50%. And if I go down, Hispanics are 16.9% of the population in Connecticut as well. So there's more Hispanic than blacks here. It's a pretty good percentage. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put this in the description as well. I'm gonna note this. So, in wrapping this up, to give you a little base history, what the population of Connecticut is, what the percent of black people is, etc. Say this once. That if you're a black woman in the 21st century and you think you're going to divest your way out of this oppression, out of the problems, and you have an issue with black men, which I find a lot of women that are divestors, and there's a whole lot of them, a lot of them are still in relationships with black men. They don't even go as far as sucking enough black cock, if we want to go there. They'll tell you to divest while they're sick behind closed doors sucking black cock. Yes. Indeed, yes it is. And how I know, because let's be honest, the ones that really are successfully swirling and divest and are getting their non-black mates, you don't hear a peep out of them throughout the whole internet. They're more focused on being the best girlfriend or wife to their non-black mates, and they're not going to give no ill will of the community, especially talking about black men. Which, let's be honest, no white man, if we want to keep real, doesn't get real turned on when they find you as a self-hating bitch, hate black men. When they hear black women from my way say they hate black men, in the back of their heads and their minds, most non-black men, Caucasian men especially, they look at you as easy booty, and they're going to treat you as easy booty. They're going to look at you as side booty at best. And I tell you personally, black men, you should not take them seriously. Matter of fact, if they say to divest, tell them God bless them and stay their black ass over there. Don't bring back the problems to the black community. Hell, don't bring back your bastard mixed children back over here. Because most men, especially men now, they're going to catch it and they're going to move a corner and deal with you. And I think most black men need to do that more now, because I find it interesting when I hear about this divestment shit, is they'll say, I must divest or find that so-called unicorn for Caucasian man, whether he does good or not, which most Caucasian men, from the data, if we want to go to statistics, are not doing well in this country now. There's a very small pie of men that is, quote-unquote, valuable, that's making money that they're over past the top 15 to 5 to 1% in this country. And it's not a lot of them. So if you think you'll be that person that's going to get a 15 or 5 or 1% man, non-black man especially, not black men, but non-black men, because let's be honest, the average in this country for across the board, especially when it deals with males, and the males is only $55K, which last time I checked is not really much money. You have problems. So, like I said, if they're divesting because they want to divest because they can't find that so-called perfect black man, good luck. And we all know there's no perfect man anywhere, but for the sake of conversation, they think there is. And I'll say, God bless you, go over there, bitch. Stay over there, bitch. And don't come back. Most black men don't want to hear you talk about black men. But we all know most women, dumb bitches, going to keep the black man's name in their mouth. They can't stop sucking his cock, so they're going to keep referencing you, brothers, because they really, at the end of the day, want a black man. And this is what I've learned for a lot of divestors, including the women. And let's be honest, the dudes that really are fearful and have a hard time or don't like when black women divest are these so-called men that are considered back to Africa. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. How I know? Because I listen to some of the contents out here on social media and et cetera, and I notice most of them that call into these streams that are quote-unquote divestors, they give them a bad name and they treat them like shit, because these so-called men that are pro-black, etc., are trying to persuade the sisters so they come back. And I tell brothers, if you're that pro-black, you need your head exam, bro. Then I come back. Once they make the decision in their mind, they're just going to go over there and stay over there, hopefully. And we pray that they stay over there. But we all know once this white man is done with them, they'll send them back to the streets. And the streets they need to be and remain and need to be sent back. She belongs to the streets. That's how they view our sisters. They're concubines. And a lot of white men, they listen to a lot of our programs and our content. And they know what it is. And it is licking their lips, clapping their hands, rubbing their hands, and is waiting and willing to say, yes, yes, now I can get some free booty. And you know what's funny? I find it interesting that how the hell you, as a non-black man, an incel in American society today, in the 21st century, where women, especially the sisters, are given the booty for free. Hell, just show up, and they'll just bust it wide open for you. How I know? Because they make it so easy now, they don't have to work hard now. That's why there's no way a man, if we want to keep real, is going to lack sex in America. Because women are liberated. They're free. They're having more sex than men, fellas. To find that there is a growing large number of virgin men in America is a testament of the times we're in. Oh, how sad, how sad, how sad. Very sad. But let you know, saying that the delusion of women that thinks that men are getting like that is a lie. Hell, some men are complaining about the direction women or what the women are doing. Maybe are the ones that are not getting much sex. Maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. So to know, saying that, you know, they are trying to escape the community or whatever you want to call it, I would say let them go. Good luck, sweetie. And just don't come back. And I tell you, brothers, don't let them come back. You know which one is doing what they're doing. And let's be honest. If you bring them back, only thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to get a world of hurt and misery. You know what I'm saying? One man said it best. And you might not know who he is. And I asked him this question. And he told me personally that once the black woman makes this conscious decision to put the white man's nuts in their mouth, it marks their end. And, you know, I always contemplate when he said that to me a couple years back. But now thinking about now in the 21st century, a couple years now, down the line, even today and back then, that he was right. And we're seeing a lot of sisters meeting their maker by non-black men. And what has happened, Lawrence Fields, she is one of many black women that have met their maker on the hands of the Caucasian man, or what they want to call Zaddy. And I always see moving forward in the future that there's going to be many more. And there are going to be many more articles of this. And it's out there in the internet, because the internet is a vast resource. And like I said, I don't waste time looking for these articles, but I know they do exist because certain male content creators are revealing this information. And it lets me know, say that, you know, you as a man, only thing you could do is be productive, work as hard as you can, make as much money, and do what you can to provide for yourself and a future for yourself. The women will be fine. The sisters will be fine. This country gives them everything that's needed. So when they say they don't need you, fellas, they don't, because they got everything for them. The only thing they'll need probably at the end of the day is maybe some dick and sperm, but yeah, that's another story. So that's all I'm going to say. I ran my mouth. And that is all. And that is all. So, like always, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the top bell for uploads, live streams here in the Chaos Reign channel. Also, you can now follow me on Twitter at Chaos Reign 7 and add me as a friend on Facebook. Yes, I'm on Facebook. Yes, yes. Eric Reign on Facebook. Those are links to follow me on. Follow Eric Chaos Reign channel. And that is it. Thank you for listening. Look forward to hearing from y'all from the next broadcast. Until next time, take care and good night.